Welcome to Herstory Revisited.
Hello.
So today, um, the Mayan calendar. We've had the Don Alejandro, the Mayan calendar keeper, in our last episode, and we found the written prophecies from the timekeepers, written in 1998.
No, I'm sorry. The prophecy, the stela was found in the late 1940s.
Well, the Stella was,
Yeah.
but they couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, until
See, what
1997.
happened
Yeah,
was,
that's right.
okay, in the jungles of the Yucatan in the 40s, right about the same time that they discovered the Dead Sea Scrolls in the Middle East, it was a really big deal that Edgar Cayce said the Hall of Records would be found
That's right.
in the Yucatan.
That's right.
And really soon thereafter, they found this stela that was this giant stone that was buried in the Mexican jungle.
Yeah, it had fallen face down
Yeah,
and it was covered with, jungle
near a
on it.
town named Copa, and it was
Cobaya.
so big that they couldn't turn it over. But once they did, then they had to try to decipher.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they didn't begin that until
No.
1997.
What happened? It was complicated because the stela had fallen down. When they flipped it over with a lot of difficulty, they did a rubbing of the stone because it had been in the soil and in the ground. And when they peeled the rubbing, all of the stuff that was on top was removed. So the only images that they had was the rubbing that they did, and that took a long time to decipher because it was, they pushed through it to try to get
Well,
the
here's
imprint
what
of
was
it.
astounding to all of us in the 90s when this information came out, because all these archaeological finds were happening in Mexico. And they
Right.
found that crystal cave under the Sonora
That's true.
Desert with the crystals the
It's
size of
incredible.
semi trucks.
Oh, it's
And
incredible.
then they kept finding one by one. They found this stela in the 40s, but then in right around 2000, I think it was 2003, they discovered a Guada Phoenix in Tabasco, and that is apparently a map of the universe. But what's the one we want to talk about today is this stela and how the story of the creation of the world is written on it.
Yeah, life on Earth in particularly. It's about life on Earth. And the one thing that's incredible is after they spend decades trying to decipher it, is that the first day in that, think of it more, it's not so much of a calendar as it is a way of mapping the evolution of life on Earth, that their inception point was, I think, 16.4 billion years ago. And coincidentally, that's when the scientific world thinks the Big Bang occurred.
Oh,
So
really?
the Mayan had, with whatever tools they had at the time, they marked that first day literally at the time that we think the Big Bang has happened. And so it's,
So
it,
the
it makes
thing
you
that
think.
the thing that captured the world was the Mayan calendar. They say the Mayan calendar, but there were 13 calendars, and
Right,
they said that there were 10 planets in our solar system,
right.
and and the sun and the moon. How did it become 13?
I don't know.
Um,
Well,
maybe it's Nibiru, because anyway, the long
prophecy, yeah.
count calendar, the 13 moon calendar that ended in December 21st, 2012, was actually a 5,200 year arc of history,
Cycle, yeah.
which is more than most of recorded human
Sure,
history
sure.
in a lot of ways.
Right.
So it was really astounding to find this stela and to have it mapped. So basically, what happened was um, Stephen Hawking said that the Big Bang was 16.4 billion years ago,
Right.
and he announced that right about the same time they discovered what
Right.
this stela said.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it confirmed
It definitely
with
was.
modern
It
physics,
definitely did. Yes.
and if that calendar would have been that long,
Well,
how
this
long were humans here?
yeah, and how were they able to preserve in
Yeah.
a normal way? I mean, obviously they did chisel stones and stelas to try to capture that for those that would come afterward. But they're enormous span of time. I mean, billions of years. But in on that stela, once they kind of realized there was a system to it, there were levels. There were 9 levels of
Just
evolution.
like all of their pyramids,
Yeah,
which are 9 levels. Chichen Itza
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
nine
yeah, yeah.
levels, and Teotihuacan is
Right,
9 levels.
right.
And they say that in heaven that there are 9 levels of consciousness.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So it corresponds to each of those as well.
Right, and there were certain events that happened in those levels that also um, created a certain a change in consciousness. So it's biological life, the evolution of biological life on Earth. It seems that what they were mapping,
Mm.
but with that evolution, there were certain comet hits,
Life
obliterates 97%,
wipes
wipes
out.
out the life at a particular point. What was there? It was like. There was something else. Oh, the ice age hit, but they had found fire right before ice age happened, so that those that were there could actually survive. So they were given certain things happened before, so that they could survive the incredible cataclysmic event that was happening. But the one thing that was interesting, it starts with that I will put it, this is sort of what they ended up.
Sophie created this graphic to kind of map
Right, but
what was said on this stela.
that line in the bottom, and you'll see the close up of it. Their mapping tool comes up with 7 days, so there's 7 periods of days of light,
7 days of light.
and 6 days of 6 nights. So the thing that for me is very interesting is there's always more light than darkness, which means from an evolutionary journey, we are going to be more increasing our light absorption, our capacity of reflective life, of our intelligence. All of the systems are going to occur after billions of years, meaning that as long as there's light, there's evolution, there is, enlightening, there's more, from an intelligence, from every standpoint.
You're saying we're pre-wired for
It
enlightenment.
looks like, because if that same system would have done 7 days of darks and 6 days of light, I think we might have evolved differently because there's more darkness than light. So we would have had the odd against us, versus in this case, there's always more light.
The numeric of it is super interesting
Right.
too, because it's 13. And this was a
Yeah.
holy number. This
Yeah.
was the divine feminine,
That's right.
was the number 13. And it's super interesting too that Jesus and 12 apostles makes 13. This that
Yeah.
they say that 13 is an unlucky number. That's
No,
the patriarchy that tells you that 13 is unlucky.
it's a very powerful number. That's
It's
the
a power
truth.
of manifestation.
It's a power of manifestation. Yes.
Anyway, so what they said is there are 13 heavens, 7 days, and 6 nights. And that's how the world was created in 7 days.
Yes.
The galactic cycle is 12.8 years long.
That's right.
Each cycle from one to the next is an acceleration of 20 times.
Mm-hmm.
So what began 16.4 billion years ago was the first cycle. And the Maya called it the cellular underworld.
Right.
Barbara Marx Hubbard talks about this as there was single cell organism life only for billions and billions of years. And then suddenly, for no explanation, multicellular life.
Also, that life was only underwater. Most of the life was underwater at that time. So there was no, the mammal, the reptiles, all of that hadn't happened yet. So it's a big shift from life underwater to life emerges from water. There
Or
was
no life and then suddenly life. And then
Yes.
single-celled organism and then
Right.
multicellular organism. And
That's
so the
right.
next vibration was the mammalian cycle.
Right.
And the mammalian cycle was 20 times less.
It was shorter, meaning it took less time than the first cycle. That's also when you had flocks and herds, and there's other beings that
The
are
mammals.
now groups. The mammals now are in groups.
in both water
in
and
both-
on the land.
Right, and apparently that's where the tail appeared. Maybe there was no tail before, and now a tail
And
supposedly
then
appeared.
the third cycle comes around at 21 million years ago, which they called the familial era.
Right.
This is when mammals joined families and families joined other families.
That's also when the monkeys apparently also appeared at that time.
And that went on for 39 million years.
Right, and at that time, when there was a stimulus, the response was only collective. There was no individual response to something happening. They were responding as their tribe, as their flock, as their herd, as their group. They maybe not have individual thinking or ability to differentiate. So that was also in the evolution of the consciousness of the being at the time a particular level of that.
Yeah.
It's what they were tracking, which is very interesting.
So that 39 million year cycle ended 2 million years ago when the fourth cycle began. That was the cycle of tribes. And this
Yeah.
is when writing and communication and agriculture and all of the things that are considered advancements today began.
And also, they were from the stimulus. They were individual response at that time, and the beings were noticing differences and similarities, which is a nuance from, acting as a tribe, and then seeing differences within that tribe. There's differentiation as maybe more light comes in and more, they experience more.
And so it may be tribe with tribe or tribe against tribe.
Yeah, yeah.
That went on until 102,000 years ago when the regions cycle began. People organized themselves into regions, and that happened to coincide with the induction of the age of reason, thought itself,
Right,
where man began to contemplate his place in the universe.
right.
That continued until, coincidentally, 5,125 years ago, which actually is almost 5,200 exactly on the long count.
Maybe.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that began the national cycle.
Right. And that's more of a patriarch age where the men kind of took over and created systems.
And hasn't that really been the paradigm for the last 5,000 years?
And that was law.
Wars, conquering,
But
law,
after the
organization,
reason, they realized
cities.
reason wasn't enough, so they decided now we need law. Reason is one thing, but we need to have law to enforce.
Okay, but
the
here's
reason.
why we care at Herstory Revisited.
Yeah.
Because the Hopi prophecies and the Mayan prophecies seem to point to a power handoff to postmenopausal women
Yeah.
in the age of Aquarius that began December 21st, 2012. And so here we are, almost 14 years later, waiting for the girls to step up.
Yes. They've always been there, but more in the forefront.
Okay, so where we have come since December 21st, 2012 is what they call the galactic era.
Right.
And Barbara Marx Hubbard called the people of this
Right.
era, all
Right.
of us, Homo Universalis.
Right.
Because we're about to join the entire galactic family
Mm-hmm.
as we venture out into other galaxies, even.
Right. But this is also,
Beyond our
if
own.
you look about technology, this is also the time where the internet, the cell phone, where communication that, went from like whoever was around you to now anywhere, anytime, any place we can communicate, we can trade, we can communicate, we can do all of that. So that's also a reflection of the galactic times that, we're in. And we can also go in outer,
So maybe we'll
space.
be moving beyond the cell phone and
Right.
to a direct communication.
Might be. Might be that would be good because we started with
Do you remember Minority Report when Tom Cruise was
Oh,
in
that
the
was
air
incredible.
and
That
he
was
was doing his
incredible. Yeah.
computing
Yeah.
in the molecules of the air?
Yeah, on glass and just.
Apparently the NSA has that technology, but we
I
don't
heard
yet.
Samsung has that in
But
Korea.
quantum computing is coming. And the interesting thing there is Dolores Cannon in some of the hidden footage we have talks about interdimensional. And interdimensional is what quantum computing is proving to be correct.
Multidimensional.
Superposition.
Superpositioning. It's zero.
That
It's not
the
zero
same
or
molecule
one. It's zero and one.
on two different levels of vibration.
Right.
So like I like to say, there's the crappy version of me and there's the enlightened version of me. And it depends on which one I'm tuning to.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of us at all times,
Yes.
circumstance,
Yeah.
can look at a better version
Yeah.
looking up.
Yeah.
If we look up and if we give peace a chance. And honestly, that's the biggest reason why we want to bring out the prophecy keepers at this time.
Right.
Because of the war in Iran, because of the...
Not just that.
I heard a psychic say that
Yeah.
the divine feminine was captured by these draconian forces in the Fertile Crescent. And the Fertile Crescent is like a yoni between the Tigris and Euphrates River.
Right.
And that's the seat of civilization where
Mm-hmm.
it began, like the birth canal of the earth.
Mm-hmm. Mesopotamia.
And if you think about that, if the divine feminine is having a return, because
Yes.
we are moving toward a greater pulse of peace instead of the conflict and conquering and submittal and all of the paradigms of there's all this fear of fascism because it's so fascist what's happening in America. It's never happened before in this way. And yet the result of it, if the Persian Empire does come back,
Right.
if
Yeah.
Iran does become Persia again,
Mm-hmm.
we could have peace for a long time.
It's
It could change the
it's been
paradigm
I
on
think
Earth.
37 years that it was under Islamic
47
oh,
years.
40, 37, 47. Yeah.
47.
I
I
mean,
was
it's a lifetime,
in high school when
in
all the Iranians came in,
yeah.
and a lot of us,
Yeah.
and
And the Persians are not Arabs.
Persian people have a
They're
completely different religion,
language, religion, culture,
food,
flag, judicial system,
everything,
everything is different. It's
everything.
just
And if there is a resurgence of Zoroastrianism in Iran
it would be
versus
extraordinary.
the very strict Muslim, suppression of women that has happened thus far.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, but we hope and we hold a space for that,
Yeah.
for all of those that are out
We
there,
pray
those
for peace.
that
We
are
hope the Mayan calendar
yes,
keepers are correct and they're saying, look, all of us,
yeah,
children, let's all hold the earth
right,
and remember the human family is one.
right. And I think that's one of the main reasons we started with the prophecies because in spite of all that's happening in the news and there's always going to be disruption, there's always going to be scary things and you know things that are think to be dismantled
There isn't always
besides
World War III.
no, but I mean there's always conflict, there's always vying for natural resources, power, oil, and whatever it is, the flavor of the day. But all of the tradition, all of the ancient traditions were pointing to that time as going, no matter what's going on the outside, we are shifting. No matter what's going on, we have to anchor. And in that anchoring, we will go through that shift. But on the other side of all that chaos that they want to keep our attention locked into, away from ourselves and our power and ability to create a center of space, of peace, of
Coherence.
neutrality and of coherence,
Mm-hmm.
from which we then decide what we do instead of reacting. Remember, stimulus response kind of thing. We can be the flocks that just respond in a collective way because we don't have self determination. We are self determined.
Sovereignty and consent and the ability for each of us to hold a vibration for a higher outcome,
Right.
for the greater good,
Right.
for all. That your thoughts actually are things,
Yeah.
and that your thoughts actually
Right.
co-create on the fabric of reality.
Right.
So if we're all making it up, we need to put a thought toward making it better.
That's correct. And by the way, because you skipped a little bit faster, at the very end, above the galactic in the universal, that's co-creation. So they told us on the very upper one that co-creation is where it's our next thing. So we have the experience of co-creating. We wish on something, we repeat it. There's like you have to say it for 20 days, and then it will happen. So that was kind of in the old days when time was not, so
The old
uh,
rules of
well, I'm
manifestation
just saying
versus instant karma.
we're in the karma time, so now we're seeing it very quickly, and that's why
Yeah.
we ask to be coherent and consenting, like we are creating our own reality. And as soon as we connect the two, then there isn't like, oh, I'm a victim, they're doing this to us, and it's us and them and all of that. We're still creating even the experience of being a victim or allowing something to take us away from our center. And it's a choice, and it's an experience, and we go, okay, is it true? How does that feel? And then we change it. So the co-creation, they predicted 60.4 billion years ago that at some point of evolution we would be fully co-creating, aware and conscious of
And they
that
said
of
that
that
we would go through several days of blackout. And we don't know if that means a sunspot, or if that means maybe the internet goes down for a couple days, or if that means
Yeah,
the
I mean,
power grid goes out because of a sunspot, or something is going to happen with the sun that could cause a couple days of darkness.
Right.
And if that were to happen, then what?
Right.
They say stay home,
Right.
be in meditation and prayer,
That's right.
be in coherence,
Right.
be in love,
Right.
and wish for the greater good for all.
Right. There's a couple things that they suggested, and I'm not sure where that came from, but it was part of that when we listened to that lecture. They suggested that a couple things we do. We get out of debt if possible. That was the first thing, because the debt is in a form of enslavement in a number of ways. They say create a community through growing food, creating strength in yourself, your family, and your community.
Yep.
You can plant trees, you can create, gardens, so you have, plenty of food. Say hello to the sun every day. You wake up, the sun may even be behind the clouds, but greet the sun every day.
This is your star.
It prepares us for this universal vibration. A lot of solar flares will be coming, and they also carry information.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great time to choose holistic health treatment over invasive medicine. So you can cleanse, do colon, the different kind of cleanse you can do to help yourself. It's also a time to communicate directly with the divine. Any form, meditation, breathing work, yoga, any form that you find that you resonate with, do that a little bit every day.
Prayers work.
Yeah. Create beauty around you and let go of toxic emotions.
Mm-hmm.
This is an inner cleansing. Take showers, take inner cleansing that way. Be frugal in all things with deep spiritual roots. Live simply, be enlightened, and then that's when we're called to become homo luminous.
And they said, synchronicity is the new paradigm.
Right.
When you're in flow and synchronicity is happening, you know that you're on track.
Right. You can feel it because there's
And if you feel
no resistance.
asynchronous, then get back to center.
Right.
Go back toward love. Focus on your heart.
Breathe.
Put your heart in connection with the earth.
Right.
Put your heart in connection with all of humanity.
Right.
And so it is.
So it is.
Thank you, Mayan calendar keeper,
Yes.
for the reminder.
Yes.
Oh,
We'll see you.
thank you for spending time with us on Herstory Revisited. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow the show, share it with someone else, and please subscribe. It really helps more people discover the podcast and the channel. Until the next time, stay curious, keep asking questions, and we'll see you soon.